In your dealer training course, we are going to cover several training units throughout your course. And as I stated earlier, you must view every video of every unit. In the first unit, I'm going to give you some really valuable contact information with the New Mexico Dealer License Bureau. I'm going to cover all of your pre-licensing steps that you need to complete before you apply for your dealer license. And then I will show you how to actually apply for your dealer's license. In the next unit, we're going to do what I'm going to call a deal. We're going to complete titles as a licensed motor vehicle dealer. And when you get your dealer's license, you will complete a title a little bit differently than you have in the past. Then I'm going to show you how to use Vehicle Registration Suite, which is required for all dealers in the state. In the next unit, I'm going to cover motor vehicle excise tax and gross receipts tax. If you've never dealt with taxes in a business before, I'm going to try and make it as easy as possible for you to understand that. Then we're going to cover the legal use of dealer license plates and temp tags. I'm going to cover ethics and dealer license suspensions as well. That'll ensure that you never get your dealer license suspended. The state does have some strict rules and guidelines for you to follow as a licensed motor vehicle dealer. This industry does tend to have a lot of regulatory oversight because it tends to be a pretty high profit industry. And I'm going to show you how to run your business ethically and in full compliance with New Mexico and federal laws. I'm also going to show you how to avoid any type of dealer license suspension. We're going to start a huge paper trail with your new business, and you're going to have a copy machine. It is mandatory to have a copy machine because you're going to need to copy and scan basically every document that comes across your desk. So it is very easy to maintain records, and I'll show you exactly how to maintain your records with your new business. We're going to talk about Secretary of State filings, among other things, state taxes, and then we will also delve into federal taxes as well. So I'll show you how to pay your state taxes and your federal taxes. In the unit after that, we're going to delve into financing. And I predict a very large majority of your customers will need a loan for the vehicle that you're selling. And if you have the ability to help your customers get loans on the spot, then you're probably going to sell quite a few more vehicles. However, when you're offering financing to a customer or assisting them with financing, you're going to need to be aware of some state and federal guidelines, such as questions that you may and may not ask during a loan application interview. We're going to delve into financing extensively in your dealer training course. We're also going to cover vehicle history reports, which you'll need to run before you buy vehicles to resell. Then we'll cover New Mexico dealer warranties and your Federal Trade Commission Buyer's Guide law. In Unit 11, we'll cover advertising, unfair trade practices. I'm going to talk about what are called VIN inspections. We're also going to delve into odometer disclosure and odometer fraud. I'm going to talk about I-9 forms and E-Verify and hiring employees. You might decide to remain small and be a one-person operation, and that's fine if you don't ever want to hire employees. However, if you're really going to grow and expand later on, then you will probably want to start hiring some employees. There are some New Mexico guidelines that you'll need to be aware of when you become an employer in the state of New Mexico. We're going to talk about the smoking ban. You're going to need to have some posters in your dealership, which I'm going to go over as well. And then we're going to go into a unit called federal laws, where we're going to delve into the federal laws that come out of Washington. The majority of your dealer training course will focus on the laws that are enacted at a state level in Santa Fe, but then we'll dive into the federal laws that come out of Washington. And in the final unit of your course, I'm going to cover what's called dealer management software. Dealer management software can basically do everything we talk about in this course with just a few clicks of the mouse. I'm going to strongly encourage you to use a good dealer management software program when you get your dealer's license. You're not required to, but if you invest in a good dealer management software program, it's going to print up all your documentation, help you get loans for all your customers regardless of their credit score, and actually help you maintain compliance because it's going to help you print the required paperwork that you're going to need on every deal. So at the end of the course, I'm going to show you how to consolidate everything we've learned and show you how to use a good dealer management software program, which I think will really expedite the entire process of a deal, allowing you to run your dealership with just a few clicks of the mouse. In this unit, I want to show you some really good contact information with the state. We're going to talk about different types of dealer licenses, and I'm going to show you how to complete your pre-license steps to get your dealer's license. And then I will show you how to actually submit a dealer application online correctly so you can get your license back from the state as quickly as possible and ensure that you get your business open as soon as possible. And I want to make sure that you are submitting a correct application, and that will ensure the approval process goes smoothly. So hopefully they will approve your license and you can get your business running and start making some money as soon as possible. That's my goal. The first thing I want to do is give you some really valuable contact information. Dealers in New Mexico are regulated by the Motor Vehicle Division, that's the MVD, and they have an office called the Dealer License Bureau. And the Dealer License Bureau is going to process your initial dealer license application. They are going to answer your questions. They are full-time employees that are there to help you start and run your business and also help you maintain compliance. And they're located at 505 Marquette Northwest, Suite 1501 in Albuquerque, 87102. If you ever do get a chance to go into the office, you're going to see a little waiting room that has a glass window. And if you ring the bell, one of their very friendly Dealer License Bureau staff members will come to the window and give you any assistance that you need. And there's also some dealer forms in the office. However, you will be able to download the forms. But if you're ever in there and need to pick up a couple copies of forms, they have several forms on the wall if you need those. If you ever need to give them a call for some more customer service, you can contact them at 505-383-2316, or you can drop them an email. That's going to be dealer.licensing@tax.nm.gov. So I hope this information is really helpful for you as you get ready to start your new business. The first thing that we need to do in this dealer training course is decide which type of license that you want to apply for. First of all, there's a retail license, which allows you to sell vehicles to customers at your license location. There's also a wholesale license, which only allows you to sell vehicles to other licensed dealers. A wholesale license does not allow you to sell a vehicle to the general public. You can only sell a vehicle to other licensed motor vehicle dealers. There's also an auto recycler license. If you want to repair damaged vehicles and then sell them, you're going to need an auto recycler license. Additionally, there's what's called a distributor license, which is for a person that basically acts as an intermediary between motor vehicle manufacturers and the general public. Finally, there's a title service license as well. We're going to cover what are known as your dealer pre-licensing steps. And there's a reason these are called dealer pre-licensing steps. You need to complete all of these steps before you apply for your license. Some of these steps take just a couple of moments online, while some of the steps are a little bit more extensive. It's possible that you've already completed some of these steps before you're taking your dealer training course, and that's totally fine. But if you're taking this dealer training course as your first step, I'm going to do my very best to steer you in the right direction so you can get your dealer's license back from the state as soon as possible and start making some money as soon as possible. That is my goal. You must complete these pre-licensing steps before you apply. If you skip any of these steps, you will not obtain your New Mexico dealer's license. So the name of the game is to complete the steps, then apply for the license. The steps that we cover are going to include how to submit your dealer license application, your minimum business location requirements, zoning documentation, your dealer surety bond, how to get a federal tax employment number, how to get your New Mexico tax ID, how to register with the state of New Mexico will be covered as well. I'm also going to show you how to get your local business license, how to submit photographs and diagrams, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about your 8-hour pre-license course that you're taking right now. Now, there seems like there's a lot of steps there. A couple of these steps take a couple moments online, but some of them are a little bit more extensive. There are a couple of ways that you can apply for your license. So let's cover that first. You can apply for your dealer license online, or you can apply via mail. And I'm always going to recommend that you apply online, because when you apply online, you're more likely to submit a correct dealer license application to the Dealer Licensing Bureau. This is because you have to make sure that you've uploaded all of your required documents. And if you do mail in an application, it could be missing a document, and that can really delay the approval of your dealer license. So I'm strongly going to encourage you to apply for your dealer license online. And I want you to be aware, I'm going to cover that process extensively later on in your dealer training course. I'm going to go screenshot by screenshot so I can show you exactly how to apply for your dealer's license correctly. Your business must comply with state law, which is very clear. You must have a physical location for your license. The state of New Mexico does not allow you, say, for example, to have like a virtual dealer license that would allow you to show up at the Home Depot parking lot, sell a vehicle, and then disappear, never to be found again. Obviously, the state wants to make sure your customers know where you are after the sale. So you have to have a location to hold your dealer's license, and there are some requirements for that location that I want to cover with you right now. You will be required to have an enclosed building with a permanent foundation. The location must be zoned for either a dealer license or an auto recycler license. And this is an especially important component. So let's talk about it for a moment. One of the most important things you can do before you rent, lease, or buy a building to start your dealership is make sure it meets local zoning requirements for a used dealer's license. So how do you find out about local zoning? It's actually very easy. Whatever location you're interested in to have your dealer's license located at, you can call your city hall, or if you're in a rural area, you can call your county courthouse and let them know the address of the location that you want to use for your dealer's license, and ask them specifically if you can have a dealer's license at that address. And then they'll look up zoning and they'll let you know if you can have a license at that address or if you cannot. So you have to be zoned correctly to have a license at that location. This is state law. Your location must be zoned for a dealership. It's very important that you make sure your location is zoned properly for a dealer's license. The building you're using must be large enough to accommodate the office or offices of the dealer or the auto recycler. So you want to make sure that you have some type of retail office environment. You don't want to just have some garage where you're filling out titles next to some jack or something like that. The state wants to make sure that you've got a building that is large enough to accommodate an office, and you must have sufficient room to store your dealer records. I want to make sure you're very clear. The state of New Mexico does not allow you to have a dealer's license at your home. So you may not have a dealer's license at a residential location. Now, I get calls from dealers all the time, or potential dealers asking me how they can have a dealer's license at their home because they don't want to go rent a location. There are so many locations that you can use. It is so very much worth to go out and maybe rent a small office with a couple of spaces somewhere. The profits in this industry are so incredible. So it's definitely worth going out and finding a location that meets your zoning requirements, so you'll be able to go into dealer auctions and buy vehicles at low wholesale prices and sell them at very high retail prices. The state would like your location to be an established place of business, and they want it to be devoted exclusively to the business for which the dealer or auto recycler is licensed, along with any related business. So what's a related business? That could be insurance sales or loan applications, or maybe you're selling tires or something like that. If your location is leased, the lease must be for at least 6 months. And I want to repeat that. Very, very important information. If you're leasing a location, the lease must be for at least 6 months. If you have a lease that's less than 6 months, the state considers that a sham lease. Okay, so you have to make sure that your location is leased for at least 6 months unless you own the property. And you're going to have to submit your lease or property ownership documentation along with your application that shows that you do have legal access to the property that you're using for your dealer's license. Not only do you have to have a sign, but the sign must ensure that your building is identified as a licensed New Mexican dealership. Okay, so you have to have a sign. You're going to need to have your dealership name, which is your trade name. That's the business that you're doing business as, displayed on your sign. So the name on your dealer application, your insurance, your bond, and everything, and Secretary of State filings have to be the same. The name on your sign must match the name on your dealer license and all of your other documentation as well. The minimum requirement for your sign is that your dealership name is at least 6 inches high or larger. So you've got to make sure that your sign company puts your dealership name at least 6 inches high or larger. So make sure of that, because if you have a sign that's only 4 or 5 inches, then it will not qualify under state law. Make sure your dealership name is at least 6 inches on that sign. Your sign must be viewable from at least 50 feet away. Additionally, state law does require that you post your hours somewhere on the building. You can post your hours on a sign or maybe on the front of your building or on your door, but you have to post your hours of operation. Your display area. Retail dealers are required to have a display area that is of sufficient size to display one or more of the vehicles that you're selling, and also have room for customer parking or storing of vehicles that might be dismantled. So if you are getting a recycler's license, you have to have room to store the vehicles that you're dismantling. So you've got to have a display area for at least one motor vehicle, and you need to have customer parking as well. So this is going to be required for all retail dealers. If you are a wholesale dealer, you're not required to have a display lot, but you still need to meet all of the other requirements that we cover during this course. I'm often asked, do wholesale dealers have to do this? Yes, wholesale dealers have to do basically everything we're talking about today, with the exception of having a display lot. I'm always going to recommend that you go ahead and get a retail license, because you're probably going to be able to find a location with at least one parking space and a customer parking space as well, which would allow you to get a retail license and sell vehicles to people that do not have a dealer's license. When you're able to sell vehicles to customers that do not have a dealer's license, your market is going to be much, much larger versus that of a wholesale dealer that can only sell vehicles to other dealers. So please keep that in mind. Make sure that whatever location you're going to use for your dealer license has display area for one car or one vehicle and customer parking as well. And at the bottom of the screen, I want to bring to your attention this very, very important law. Your retail sales activity must occur at this location. I want to make sure to talk about this so you'll understand exactly what this means, because this law is enforced by the state. Right now, I'm assuming that you do not have a dealer's license, so you can sell your vehicles anywhere you want. You know, the law allows you to put a for sale sign on your car and stick it out in front of Walmart if you want, because there's no law against that. I'm sure the Walmart manager is going to run you off very quickly, but there's no law that says you can't sell your vehicle at Walmart or the Target parking lot. However, when you become a licensed New Mexico motor vehicle dealer, that law changes. And I want to show you a bill that was recently passed in the New Mexico legislature, and it has actually passed and been signed by the governor, and it is now law. And this was from a few years ago. House Bill 62, which was introduced over and over and over again, has now been signed by the governor, and it never quite made it across the line until 2023 when it was actually signed by the governor. And I want to read what it says. A New Mexico licensed dealer shall not sell a vehicle or offer or display a motor vehicle for sale at a licensed location other than the licensed dealer's established place of business. And I want to read that line to you again. A New Mexico licensed dealer shall not sell a vehicle or offer or display a motor vehicle for sale at a location other than the licensed place of business. And I want to explain this to you so you have a really clear understanding of what this law means, because the state is enforcing this law. If you have any type of off-site sales activity, let's say, for example, you're selling vehicles on Autotrader.com and your dealership's in downtown Albuquerque, but you're selling vehicles online, and then you have someone from Santa Fe contact you and say they would like to see a vehicle that you have for sale on Autotrader, but they can't make it to Albuquerque, and they might ask you if they can meet with you in Bernalillo, just off of I-25 at some parking lot to show that vehicle, and that would be a violation of state law. You cannot sell or show your vehicles at a non-licensed location. This is New Mexico law, and I do believe you'll need to explain that to your customers, that the state does not allow you to have off-site retail sales activity. And the customer is basically going to have to view that vehicle at your licensed location in Albuquerque or wherever you're licensed, or online. Now, how do you handle this law when you're handling internet sales? Because I'm assuming that you're probably going to sell a lot of your vehicles online. So let's talk about that right now. Let's say you got that same vehicle for sale on Autotrader.com, and a lady from Dallas, Texas contacts you and says that's the exact vehicle that she wants and she wants to buy it. Hey, that's fine. You're going to need to submit all the paperwork to that lady in Dallas, have her sign all the paperwork and send it back to your payment plus the payment for the dealership in advance. And once you have all that documentation at your licensed location, that's considered an on-site sale. So anytime after you've received the documentation and the payment for that vehicle, then you can actually ship or even deliver that vehicle to Dallas. However, you could never, say, for example, meet that lady at some truck stop in El Paso, Texas, and do all the paperwork there and accept payment there, or even show the vehicle in another location. That's never allowed. It's a violation of this law. So this is full New Mexico law. Make sure all of your retail sales activity occurs only at your licensed location. I want to make that clear because the state is enforcing that law. So you can never show your vehicles at non-licensed locations unless you are participating in an official off-site sale, which I want to talk about right now. You can participate in what's called an off-site sale. You must, however, have an off-site permit. A temporary off-site sales location may be allowed, but you must obtain the off-site permit in advance from the state. There are a couple of other requirements I want you to be aware of if you ever participate in an off-site sale. The state's very clear. A majority of other dealers from the same county as the proposed location must have been invited as well. Additionally, it must be in the same category that you're licensed to sell. So if you're selling motor vehicles and someone invites you to participate in a boat show, that's obviously not allowed. If you're having an offsite sale, it must be within the same vehicle category that you're licensed for. The offsite sale promoter must not require you to pay exorbitant fees, and you must have a dealer surety bond writer for that location. That location must be identified by a sign. And motorcycles, however, are exempt from that law. So in this one scenario where you might have a legally offsite sanctioned show, you have to make sure that it's approved in advance. But no matter what, if you are invited to participate in an offsite sale, make sure that you contact the Dealer License Bureau and verify that that location has been legally sanctioned by the state in advance. So do please keep that in mind. Otherwise, if you're not participating in an offsite sale with an offsite permit, all retail sales activity must take place at your licensed location only. You're going to need to submit some photographs of your business or draw up some diagrams. This is going to provide the Dealer License Bureau with a record of what your location looks like. So you're going to need photographs or diagrams. If you're an artist, you can create diagrams, but personally, I would probably just take some photographs and scan them on my computer. Here's what you're going to need. If you're submitting photographs, you need a photograph of the business license site location, a photograph showing your display area that must have room for at least one vehicle that you're selling and customer parking, a photograph of your office building, a photograph of the inside of your office, a photograph of your office equipment such as a scanner, computer, or copy machine. Got to have a photograph of your sign, or you can submit a diagram of the property layout, including the location of the sign and a diagram of the inside office space. So you can either submit photographs or create a diagram. And I'm going to show you exactly how to upload those to the Dealer License Application System here in just a few moments.